Welcome back to NWEA Basics for Teachers, sponsored by the Oklahoma Public School Resource Center. I'm Jean Potter, and I will be your guide during this section of the course. I'm going to be talking specifically about the class breakdown by gold in this segment. Again, we went to map growth reports, chose the class breakdown, went through the different options, and chose to display by gold, which is shown in this area right here. This is the interactive view so that I could go back and choose to go to RIT if I wanted to. Gold will give me a little more detailed information. So let's look at some of that detailed information. Showing it by gold breaks down the overall scores into goal areas. In this case, I've chosen mathematics, so the goal areas include operations and algebraic thinking, real and complex number systems, and so on. Across the top again are the scores of students that students have scored divided into 10-degree ranges or 10-point ranges from 201 to 210, for instance. And in each of those columns in students that scored in that range, their names will be shown. So let's take a look at a couple of these students and see how we could use this. If we look at Mr. Saldana, and this is J.R. Saldana, well, notice that J.R. scored low in operations and algebraic thinking. If we find his name in the real and complex number systems, we notice that he scored slightly higher. He's in the 211 to 220 range, and the same thing in geometry. And then if I look down at statistics and probability, Mr. Saldana actually scored in the 220 to 230 range, which is almost average for this class. So compared to his classmates, Mr. Saldana is a little bit weak or slightly weak in operations and algebraic thinking, something that he needs to work on. He scores a little better in geometry and real and complex numbers, and his strength happens to be in statistics and probability. If I look over at some of my other students that are in here, I can look at Mr. Eaves, E.S. Eaves, and notice that E.S. Eaves scored in the same column for all of the different assessments. So his mathematical ability seems to be very level across the board for these topics. So I can begin to think about how do I address Mr. Saldana's weaknesses and build on his strengths. I can look at those. If I need to go and look at what these mean, because as we'll say in the next session, I'm not sure what 201 to 210 means as far as how this translates to any sort of skill level. So if I want to click on operations and algebraic thinking, or if I want to click on the numbers up here, either one of these will take us to the learning continuum, which we will be discussing in the next session. Please join us for the next session, and we'll see you then.